Hey everyone, welcome back. Alpha 4.8 is deep in PTU testing right now and Fleet Week is just around the corner. But today I want to look past all of that. What is CIG actually working on beyond 4.8? What might land in Alpha 4.9 in July and what does the rest of 2026 look like? There is actually quite a lot to talk about, so let us get into it. First, a quick note on how the patch cycle works now. CIG is running a major patch every 2 months, so we have 4.8 in May, 4.9 in July, and another one in September. But in between those major patches, they are also dropping content every couple of weeks. A new ship here, some new missions there, a mini event. That pattern has worked really well through the 4.7 cycle, and it should continue through the rest of the year. The Gatak Raylan arriving during Alien Week in June is a good example of that kind of mid-cycle drop. Now on to what is likely coming in 4.9 and beyond. Instancing is probably the feature I'm most excited about for 4.9. CIG has been working on this for a while and the tech preview testing we saw in the run up to 4.8 is a clear sign they are getting close to a proper release. The idea is straightforward, but the impact is massive. Certain missions and events will run in their own dedicated shard, separate from the main persistent universe. Your group goes in together, the mission plays out in a controlled environment without random players disrupting it, and then you come back out to the main universe when it is done. The Siege of Orison is confirmed as the first major piece of instance content. This is the classic Ninetales occupation mission on Crusader's cloud platforms that many players will remember from a few years ago. The reworked version supports up to 20 players with both public and private lobby options. You shuttle out from Levski, clear multiple platforms, hunt down Ninetales lieutenants, disable anti-air defenses, and ultimately board a flying platform to take out the main boss. Done properly in a private lobby with your org, this is going to feel like a proper dungeon run in space, and that is genuinely exciting. The Municipal works and delving depths content at Levski is also tied to the instancing work. This is the deep dungeon content beneath Levski, where you can push progressively further into the facility and save your progress between sessions. Think of it as Star Citizen's version of a dungeon with checkpoint saves. Both of these feel like 4.9 targets to me. Item recovery tier 1 is the other major system that needs to land properly. CIG got the vehicle snapshot foundation into 4.8, but it has been temporarily disabled while they iron out some bugs. The full tier 1 vision goes considerably further than what is in 4.8. Vehicle loadouts saved and recoverable at a touch of a button. FPS loadouts saved as well, so your gear configuration persists through death. Insurance becoming more meaningful as it is tied to what you can recover and at what cost. When you reclaim a ship or item, the original will brick after a set time period to prevent duplication. Tier 2, which comes later, will allow you to unbrick items through various in-game means. The whole system is designed to make the economy healthier and give players genuine reason to care about what they own and how they protect it. Hacking is another one that feels genuinely close. The monthly report in March confirmed the team was polishing the tutorial and refining the UI alignment, which is the kind of work you do when a feature is nearly done, rather than still being built. CIG has been cagey about exactly what the initial hacking implementation looks like, but previous discussions mentioned pipe puzzle style mechanics, data interception, opening secure doors, and accessing terminals in restricted areas. Longer term, it feeds into the Legionnaire, the Drake assault ship that hacks enemy docking collars and boards with Marines. Whether hacking lands in 4.9 or gets its own moment in a later patch, I cannot say for certain, but it is not far off. Social tools are overdue and CIG knows it. The team has been building a bundle of updates covering all quality of life improvements, group and party play fixes, the ability to mute, block and report players properly, and more reliable VoIP. CIG has linked player trading and economy updates to social tools being done first, so getting these features in is actually a prerequisite for a lot of what comes next. Hopefully 4.9 brings at least the first wave of this. Once social tools land player-to-player trading should not be far behind, which opens up the full crafting economy that everything in 4.7 and 4.8 has been building toward. On the crafting side, expect a continued expansion with every patch, blueprint, datapads you can find in the world, loot, sell, or use to learn recipes, purchasable blueprints from NPC vendors, salvage resources feeding directly into crafting with ship-specific materials, new fabricator types for larger items, and in-vehicle crafting, which is the big one. Once in-vehicle crafting arrives, the dedicated crafting ships can follow. The Anvil Auxilia, the Consolidated Outland Forge, and the Greycat MFC have all been teased and are waiting on that system to be ready. The Clipper getting its onboard fabricator also falls into this category. Blueprint, tiers, and research are further out. Do not expect to be upgrading blueprints from Tier 1 to Tier 3 in 4.9. That feels like later in the year or into 2027. Scanning and radar updates are confirmed on the roadmap tracker. Improved signature systems supporting much greater detection distances, environmental interference affecting signatures, larger cross sections being detectable at range, and better scanning from ships, ground vehicles, and FPS gear. Stealth gameplay should become considerably more viable and more nuanced as this work matures. Running cold by switching off systems, hiding in nebulae or behind large objects, and the interplay between detection and evasion is all part of where this is heading. The new flight model is something CIG has been working on quietly for a while with closed testing. It is expected to bring rework balance across all ships, atmospheric flight improvements, and a new quantum travel experience. Whether this lands in 4.9, gets previewed during 4.9, or does not arrive until later in the year or even 2027 is genuinely unclear. It is one of those systems where the impact is so significant that CIG is going to want to get it right before pushing it live. The Apex Valakkar, the non-radiated version of the big sandworm, is getting close based on what CIG said in the most recent monthly report. They confirmed a new narrative involving the return of an old foe, and the Apex Valakkar is the most likely candidate. The radiated version in Stormbreaker was deliberately weakened because of its context. The non-radiated version should be significantly more dangerous, and the boss fight around it is going to be one of the more memorable creature encounters the game has had. New boss fights in general are in development alongside expanded creature content from the dedicated creature team that was formed earlier this year. The soft class system is going to keep expanding. Flight suit G-force resistance in 4.8 is the start of something much bigger. More armors and suits will have meaningful stat differences, passive abilities, and potentially set bonuses. Medic builds that give you health readouts through your HUD, heavy combat suits that resist being staggered by explosions, EVA focused suits with more thrust and fuel. EVA is going to get a proper update as well, with different fuel capacities and performance levels tied to what you're wearing. The system of being disincentivized to wear heavy armor as a pilot because of the G-force penalties is a nice example of how these trade-offs are supposed to create genuine choices. Looking further out, there are a few things that are more likely end of year or 2027 territory. Planet Tech V5 for the Nyx planets is being developed alongside Styrotect and NPC population management as a bundle. When it lands, Nyx will feel completely transformed with proper biomes, procedurally populated locations, and a reason to actually explore the system's planets. September feels like the earliest realistic window for this. Base building is in development, but when it does arrive, expect something very limited to start with, just basic smaller structures as a first step to test the systems before scaling up. On ships, there is a lot in the pipeline beyond Fleet Week. The RSI Galaxy is expected to appear at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo later this year. The Drake Kraken is confirmed for 2027. The Banu Merchantman now looks unlikely to see active development until 2027 as well, but new ships and vehicles will keep arriving with pretty much every patch throughout the year. SIG likes to keep a steady flow of new things to fly and drive as part of how they sustain development, and that is not changing. Squadron 42 is still planned for release later in 2026, and that is going to have a significant knock-on effect on Star Citizen. The system's assets and polish work coming out of Squadron's final stages will keep dripping into the live game. When Squadron ships, that will be a major moment for the project, and it will accelerate what CIG can put into the persistent universe. That is the full picture of what is likely heading our way through the rest of 2026. Form 9 in July is shaping up to be a big one, with instancing, item recovery, social tools, and potentially hacking all in the mix. And between now and then, Fleet Week and Alien Week are going to keep things busy. Thanks for watching everyone, and I will catch you in the verse.